Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are back after a couple-week hiatus. We have lots of things to catch up on, including last week's episode.
Sorry, everybody. I was the reason there's no. We record it. Believe you me, re-record it. But there was some corruption on my end with audio, so I am filming from my MacBook mic. Not filming. I'm recording from the MacBook mic, and and I have my backup as the iPhone. So, one way or another, y'all are getting an episode today. So,
whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not. Yeah.
Well, last week's episode, people kept asking, was there an EV podcast? And I was like, yes, there was.
But you will never see it.
It was just very exclusive. Only people on this call right now.
Only people who have been listening to it since the beginning, who was their only fan, who was giving them that one view immediately at 12:01 in the morning and all that. Right, Randy?
He said only fan.
The only fan. I don't remember what we talked about last week, if I'm going to be completely honest.
So I did, I mentioned that I got to drive the F-150 Lightning, I think.
That's right.
Oh, yes. Congratulations.
First time driving an electric truck, which a little bit different.
I saw one yesterday.
Oh, nice. What color?
They're all over. It was blue. It was a very
typical blue.
Wait, which blue? That dark blue or that?
But Mike was so disappointed by it.
Oh, blue.
What color? Blue.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's like, come on.
There's a lot of blue.
For real.
But to be fair, I would probably get in blue if I bought one. It was a fun drive. I think mine was silver. Yeah.
Ooh.
And that thing was fun. It was the extended range Lariat, so it had the big screen in it, and it had long range and all that. But I think I mentioned in that podcast that the sales associates, or whatever they want to be called, the dealer guys,
the losers,
weren't really. Yeah, they weren't. No.
That's the technical legal term. Yeah.
The
losers.
They weren't fans of it, really. We test drove a XLT just for fun beforehand, and then compared it to the F-150 Lightning, and they were very much more like talkative in the XLT versus the Lightning, which is very interesting.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I completely understand why.
At one point, they mentioned there was like some lawsuit or something like that against the Lightning for like range or some reason. I forget, but like I haven't heard of that. And at the same time, like if it's about range, then it's like, okay, well they say it's 325 or whatever for their extended range, and if you're expecting to tow with 325 miles, you're sorely mistaken. Especially when you should be knowing that when you're towing, you're basically having your range as a nice conservative estimate. So it doesn't make sense for people to be like, this tows like my regular truck, right? It says 325, so that 325 number must mean 325 while towing. So that means I get 6, or maybe I don't know what goes through your mind. Anyways, it was a fun drive. It definitely accelerates like an electric vehicle, which I had a lot of fun with. Went up a on-ramp on it, and it was like, woo! Passing by the Prizzes and everything. It was great. I loved
the Priz.
I can see why many people are buying it, whether they want something for just city slickin' travel and all that, or if they need to haul stuff around or anything like that. And in some rare cases, if you want to tow, you can, just not the best at towing.
Just not long distance, that's all.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that use their F-150s mostly locally, so I think it's a great option, assuming you don't have to go to Electrify America at any time. That's my one caveat.
Yeah.
It's just hauling stuff around town, getting some, Home Depot, Lowe's runs to and from the house, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah. It's great. It's reliable, big old frunk.
I'd probably just take it to Tesla Superchargers if I was going long range. If I was taking it on a trip, I'd probably...
So to Santa Cruz. Because that's where your one magic duck is.
Right.
Reach.
Oh, yeah. Wait, it's on the front driver's side, right?
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Man,
Sure,
they couldn't have planned this worse.
I don't know what you want to do with it, but like you've been to those superchargers in between South Bay and Santa Cruz.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You could easily obtain one of those and it should be fine. But
oh yeah, those are the backwards ones. You can
they
pull
are
in
the better ones. Yeah, you can
either
pull
way.
in either way. Where
I see.
was it? We went to a supercharger recently that had the problem that you and I brought up to Aptera during our interview with the chief designer. That
Jason Hill.
Yeah, Jason. Yes, don't speak his name.
Be running up that hill. Be running up that hill.
You know, if you rewind that question, sorry.
Jason.
How many times are you gonna bring this up?
Every possible time.
I noticed with the superchargers I charged at recently, they also have that problem where you can't take it to the middle of a Tesla. So how are you gonna take it to the middle of an Aptera? Who knows? But that, I agree, is a problem that something needs to be fixed, whether it's through pull-through charging or any other ways.
Yes. I think there's a bigger issue based on... I don't know if we talked about this last week. I'm trying to remember. I think last week, half of it was discussion about investing in Rivian and why it's not a good idea. Do you remember that conversation?
That one I do.
Randy, give us your thesis again.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
the thing is, my updated one. Here's my updated thoughts.
He's all in.
We should see how the stock performed since we recorded last week.
Whoa. All right, let me know when you pull that up.
Okay, I'll look.
Here's my updated thoughts, though. I was basing it, or I do base it. Like currently, I'm not a Rivian investor, but I base my whole analysis on it on very like logical, analytical factors, and that's just not how. Like, we're everybody's human. Every investor, unless you're using AI bots to help you invest now.
Investment advice GPT.
That's right.
Basically.
People have emotional drives, for example. Not that I'm changing the subject, but and I'm sure we'll talk about this since we have relevant things here, but the stock shot up for Tesla when they said that they were going to do advertisements.
Isn't that crazy? It's the first time an event resulted in the stock reacting positively. I've been watching Tesla for so long, and this is the first time I've ever seen an actual presentation have a positive effect. And it was a terrible presentation, but go on.
But it was that, to my point, like, that makes no sense because logically that's R&D, like, that's pit money that you're like, well, that's marketing. Marketing doesn't really, you hope that you have a return, but you have to put a lot of money into it. Like, it's, from a logical standpoint, Tesla doesn't need to advertise. But
I agree.
Emotionally, all the investors, every shareholder and fanboy and Elonite and all that will be ecstatic to get the message out there. It's all about getting the message. And they like the way Elon responded. And of all people, Meet Kevin's the one that brings it to him. Of all people.
And I voted for him.
I'm sorry.
What a mistake.
What a mistake. He's getting sued right now. He's in a lawsuit.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Him and every finance YouTuber.
He should be called Sue Kevin.
Yeah, Sue Kevin, because of FTX. He promoted it. Yeah.
He was in that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Again, one more other pivot here then. Again, not to change the subject too much. But I got 2 audio sources recording me today, so I know this will at least.
Yeah. This podcast is like a Rivian tank turn.
We will. I
It's
promise
never gonna happen.
I'll come full circle. We'll make this. We'll come back pretty quickly. But Meet Kevin, Graham Stephan, excuse me. This guy Andre Jenk, and some other guy, a bunch of people on a podcast.
I will never promote a cryptocurrency ever again after watching that thing unfold.
Again, I didn't know you promoted one before.
Oh, well, I don't think I ever did technically.
Oh,
I
I
mentioned
think
that you were taking, but you never said like, "Hey,
Oh yeah, someone reached out to me and said I will donate to you in crypto if you agree to put your wallet address in the description so
Yeah.
that everybody can donate that way. And I was like, I mean, I don't think it's the future, but I'll take it if you don't want it. So I put it in the description for a while,
Careful.
and
You might get
basically
sued. No,
no one else did it.
they
Well, I never offered crypto to others. I
no. So
just
these guys,
took it away
me,
from them.
Kevin as well, and this one has to do with a podcast, a group podcast. A bunch of YouTube creators came together that they all live in Nevada, and they all, that was like their headquarters, and they all did their thing there.
Hmm.
Um, and they had a watermark like a
FTX house.
FTX. No, it just they had a watermark on the top left or whatever part of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
videos that just said FTX, and they got paid
Hmm.
ungodly money, and then everything that happened with you know all that, just everything falling apart. So he's in a lawsuit, as is everybody else that promoted it. The big
That's
finance.
why he wants Tesla stock to do so well.
I was saying,
course.
this is the guy that promoted, hey, Elon,
Somebody
should do
said
ads
yeah.
for Tesla.
Him.
And then
Hey,
everyone agreed
Elon,
because they're all Elon fans,
need
not
a-
Tesla fans.
I need some of that equity to bounce back. My lawyers will get. He's a millionaire. He's fine, but still, like, he just. Anyway, it's not too. It's a very expensive lesson that all these guys are learning. So, anyway, now
Kevin O'Leary as well.
he's another guy. Yeah. So, Kevin O'Leary was in the first lawsuit. There was a subsequent lawsuit that followed that was directed towards
Uh-huh.
finance YouTubers, which me Kevin is a part of that one. So,
Mhm.
reason why they think it won't work though, and this is all I have to say about I'm done with this, is that they think it's not gonna go.
Okay.
Me Kevin believes that it might not work or go through because they basically literally copy paste the one that has Kevin O'Leary and all these other guys, uh, uh, Steph Curry and Tom Brady, whatever. All those guys.
I'm out.
I'm out. They copy paste the lawsuit from that to the other one, just replaced it with the YouTubers' names. And they're like, well, this is just a copy paste, so it's a money grab. And
Mhm.
but then the other side of that coin is that they're like telling people, they're telling all the YouTubers, just give the money back then. Donate the money. Do some show that you're not profiting off of the money that you made hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over the year and a year plus, and show that in good faith, return that money then. Just do something besides, hey, we all got a bad hand, huh? Like, no, you guys were playing with house money, and I'm not here. You guys are playing with house money, and I'm homeless. So anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
Fair enough. Well, that little update for you, since for those who don't know, which is everyone, we talked about investing in Rivian and their being overvalued last week, and basically the main takeaway was Randy said it wasn't a good idea, and turns out you were right.
Woo!
Because the day after we recorded that lost episode, it went down 7.5%.
Oh,
It's
It has
technically,
since gone up.
yeah, it's basically between last time we recorded and now, it's dropped 2 cents.
I
So,
bring all of this up.
not bad.
It was
2
still
cents,
negative.
yeah.
It's not net 2 pennies. It's minus 2 pennies. I bring all this up, all of it,
Well, not 2
because
cents, sorry, 20 cents.
my thing is that it doesn't matter if they're losing money. AMC and GameStop and all those guys were not profitable, but we artificially kept them alive. We the retail investors, and
Just like the Saudis are keeping Lucid alive.
exactly.
For no
Oh,
reason.
this is where I was gonna go full circle with it. I have the same
Uh-huh.
aspirations that I hope Lucid somehow buys enough time that it works for them. I know Aptera is not a public company, but my takeaway
They're semi-public.
they're semi. But my overall takeaway is that even though I'm not going to invest as an investor of any caliber into Rivian, I should not be so quick to write it off like, oh, it's not going to work, because the will of the people is a very strong thing, especially when you have passionate, like, just fans. And
It's true.
this advertising thing with Tesla, some may say, and I don't know if I agree with this, that this is Elon saying, ooh, competition's getting stiff, and so now we need to promote. But I don't agree with that. I don't think that's true. I think it's, you guys, my friends, but also our listeners, know I'm quick to be critical of Elon. I'm not a fanboy like that, but I actually believe him when he says that I want to try it just to see. I don't know. He's like, I made up a decision right there on the spot to meet Kevin. He said that on this NBC interview he did afterwards. He's like, I made up the decision right there. I was like, all right, then I guess we'll try it. And
did you see the whole Tesla board in the front row looking at each other? You know what? Yeah, we'll do some advertising. They're like,
he was shocked that the audience was so like.
Yeah, they all started cheering because
he was like,
they had all the Gary Black investors in there.
Right.
Straubel's just like, and I came back to this.
So this is how Liberty died.
Thunderous applause. Oh dear Lord. Yeah. I wasn't a fan of it like you were, Drew. When that was brought up, I'm like, oh no, not this. But then when the decision was made by the the Techno King himself that they'll give it a try, I'm like, great. Awesome. This is where we're going now.
love that
I don't
journey
think
for them.
Yeah, I agree with the idea that funneling money into advertisements is not a smart idea, especially if you want to sell your cars at a great margin. Because all this is going to do, in my opinion, is it's going to just drive up the cost of these Teslas if Tesla starts getting pushed on the financial side of things, where they're realizing, oh, there's some extra costs that we didn't account for these next 6 months due to Cybertruck production. It's going to cost us a lot more than we thought, so we're going to need some more money, and we're already putting money into advertising, so I guess we'll just raise the price of the sexy lineup and live with it.
Or keep it the same.
I guess. I could see where 3 could probably go up a couple thousand, at least. But,
yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe with Highland and everything.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this at all. This decision's very
and
silly.
someone that I've interacted with a lot, he's from the Aptera community, named Curtis Sibonell. I think he's from Canada. He phrased it really well in a tweet recently, because I saw Matthew DR, the guy who did all the Cybertruck leaks. He was saying, I bet everybody who was against advertising is now suddenly for it. And I wanted to go on the record against. I said, no, I'm still against it, for the record. And Gally from Hyperchange, I believe I also saw tweeted he's still anti-advertising. But Curtis said, dipping their toe in advertising will do more harm than good. Being able to point to the fact that they don't need to advertise was an amazing point in the brand favor for word of mouth. Like, you now will forever lose that argument point that we had previously. We also said they didn't spend a penny on advertising. Well, now we can't. Maybe it's 5 pennies, but you can't say.
But
I do
did
think
they not do advertisement before, slight, whether it was a paper ad or something? I think I remember reading or seeing that they had done something.
I don't remember.
They don't have their V card, my
anything
friend.
explicitly.
They did do something.
I think there's been
Fold around
fans
a bit.
that have put ads around. I know there was a fan community that put them in Times Square at one point. And there is a marketing team, to be fair. They still did that Project Love Day thing. Remember when Marquez made the commercial? And that was a really good commercial. But again, it was fan created, which is what it was made by the customers, made by the owners of the product, which I think is infinitely more valuable. And what scares me more, honestly, I hate the way Kevin phrased it. The question was phrased on like, every time you lower the price, that's this much money that's the equivalent to Netflix advertising budget. And I was like, I consider those price cuts victories. Like, those are great. That means you increase your addressable market and there's more people that can buy the product. And I know tons of people that want to buy these vehicles but can't afford them. And you're like listing them as downsides. Like, oh, you cut the price again. That was a missed opportunity. You could have spent a whole Netflix worth of advertising. I'm like, Netflix advertising is not the same as advertising a car.
Yeah.
Convincing someone to subscribe to watch a movie or TV show for a month and spend $15 or $20, not the same at all as convincing someone to get a $50,000 car. And to act like price cuts are losses, like, it's such a shareholder perspective. I guess it's a shareholder meeting. That's the point. But I thought, you know, if your mindset is just to have the thickest margins in the world, then and you don't care about the mission, accelerate the transition, then make gas cars. Those will have way thicker margins.
Right.
But of course they wouldn't do that. So I don't like that route, but I do genuinely believe it was a spur of the moment decision, and my guess is they're not going to spend that much. But my bigger problem with that is I think it will likely be very ineffective. Like, to me, it's the analogy people were using on Twitter was like convincing people that aren't vegan who eat meat, if they watch enough Impossible Burger ads from Burger King, that they'll be more okay with eating artificial meat.
Or just going to Burger King in general.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't seen enough vegan burger ads, or, you know, the flat earthers haven't seen enough NASA ads. Because that's, at this point, when EVs are selling, Teslas are selling as high volume as they are, Model Y best-selling non-pickup in the US, best-selling vehicle period in Europe, I don't think you can play the game, well, people just don't know. They don't know about them. It's like, okay, if they don't know about them, they don't care, and I don't think they're going to care because of an ad. And then what stresses me out further is like, okay, they're going to probably spend a little bit on advertising, and they're going to realize everybody that was advocating for it, all the Kevins and the Gary Blacks and the Ross Gerbers that were pushing so hard, they're all going to realize it's not some magic wand that suddenly fixes all the demand issue. So then they're going to be up. Well, they're going to look at the numbers and realize, well, hey, the inventory didn't suddenly drop after advertising.
It takes time.
Or it didn't
time
drop enough. Oh, it takes
wait.
time. Well, they're going to say they're not. I think what they're going to do is they're all going to complain that the advertising's not good enough. Oh, you're not trying very hard. The ads aren't very good.
You need to do it.
You need to, well, either that or you need to pay big media to put celebrities in there. We need Leonardo DiCaprio and, Tom Hanks promoting Teslas. And yeah, let's get Matt Damon. That went well. Should have left him on Mars.
Fortune favors the brave.
You're mentioning...
When that happens, I'm selling all my stock. That's it. If I see him saying fortune favors the brave on a Tesla commercial, I'm cashing out. I've learned that lesson.
While they're driving a Cybertruck on Mars or something. Yeah. I wanted to bring up, was it some article that I found claimed that in a 10K statement from Tesla, that in 2015, 2014, and 2013, they spent $58, $48, and $9 million on marketing and sales promotion costs as incurred expenses. So who knows if they actually did before. They could have in the early days with the Roadster, which makes sense to me because right now Aptera's doing it on Instagram. I see like every other story that I'm looking at, it's an Aptera ad and all that. And that's because they need to get their name out there, and I understand that. Tesla doesn't need to get their name out there. They've been selling better, yes, they have been selling better than most cars. They're the best-selling SUV.
Best-selling car in the world, practically.
Almost. So, they're getting close. So it doesn't make sense now, in my opinion, to do ads. But at least at the very beginning, when you're trying to get your voice out there, like your presence known, that, hey, we're a company that's trying to sell you a vehicle. Buy it, please, or at least check us out and see what we've got to offer you. So then maybe you can offer us some cha-ching. But it doesn't make sense to do it now at all, in my opinion.
It's amazing to me. Over 4 million cars delivered without spending at least meaningful amount. Maybe there was some fine print somewhere, but at least meaningful amount was spent on advertising. I mean, I've seen some people think, oh, they're just going to do free ads on Twitter. But to me, it's like Tesla ads on Twitter is kind of preaching to the choir already.
You don't think everyone and their mother knows about the Cybertruck at this point? Like, oh, we need an ad for the Cybertruck because people don't know about Tesla, right? Everyone knows about Tesla. They've made all these hilarious announcements with the Roadster, the Semi, the Cybertruck, and they've
been around for a while now, and you see them on streets. when they're this popular, I don't think you can make the argument that people don't know or the consumers think they're too expensive. I'm like, okay, if they think that, an ad's not going to sway them.
Right.
If they're that sold on it that they can't do 2 seconds of research to Tesla.com order, oh, that's the price. They think, oh, well, all my neighbors just bought $200,000 cars. That's weird. You know, like trying to reason with those people by putting Super Bowl ads in front. I'm just picturing, I know people in my life that are dismissive of Teslas and EVs. I can think of them off the top of my head. I'm visualizing those people that are like, no, that's stupid. The battery's going to explode. Elon's crazy. He doesn't know. The government can shut it down remotely.
And that's why we removed Nick from the podcast.
Oh, no. Why you gotta do him like that?
Oh, yes.
Why do you have to let everyone know?
Oh, my.
No,
We're joking.
He's going to automotive stuff right now, I think. Isn't he?
Yeah.
He's doing car stuff, I think. Oh, well.
Anyway.
But yeah, like, the people I know that are like that, and I'm just picture the people in your life that don't like Tesla or don't like EVs. Now picture them watching the Super Bowl and then having some cringy 30-second cutesy Tesla ad that I'm sure everyone on Tesla Twitter will retweet around. Like, wow, look, this is the first ad. It brings up the safety and everything. Like, now picture those guys watching that ad and be like, that's stupid. Electric car, the battery causes more emissions because it's powered by, those people aren't going to go, oh, I didn't know that. Wow, I'm going to buy one now. I just,
Yeah.
talked it to death.
Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. I think you put it pretty well, Randy, that they're going to try it out. Hopefully they find out that doesn't make sense. And return back their focus to what needs actual attention rather than marketing and all that. More
the
on
Roadster,
4680s.
exactly. You
That
need to
too.
focus
Yeah,
on that.
seriously.
Yeah. The reason why these other
Felt like-
companies have to do advertisements, like Aptera, Rivian, Lucid, whoever,
I feel like Aptera is mostly investment.
well, but where
Focused
I'm
ads,
getting at is the
too.
reason why everyone else needs to do ads is because Tesla has first mover advantage. So,
Mm-hmm.
and this is basically the recap of what we were talking about last week, is that everybody's pegged themselves to the Tesla stock, to Tesla's performance, and all that. Like you can't help but be compared to Tesla. Just like no amount of Android phones can't help but be compared to an iPhone. You have to. It's the only way you can gauge growth and interest and all that stuff. It's not
Yeah.
it's not the unhealthy way. It's like, I want to be just like them. It's it's more that, like they have to see, like, is this where the interest is at? And because Tesla's was, going so hard on the paint for so long, as they remove paint colors.
They still are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like they put all their eggs in the basket. Like, this is all I have, and it worked for them. So everybody else, like, if the three of us came together collectively and came up with our own designed EV, whatever, and we're gonna launch it, the Tailosive whatever, we should call it maybe
Cyber Potty.
we should call it the Tailosive EV. Wait a minute.
Doesn't need a name.
Wait a minute. But but if we launch it, the answer's in there.
It's a TEV.
Oh boy. The Model T, you're gonna get sued. Yeah. But anyway.
Well, you can't do Model any letter, or else Ford goes after you. You could do Mission T. Oh wait, there's Mission E tires from Porsche.
I would call it TEV.
TV. Wait.
Anyway.
I was
I guess what I'm trying to really quick.
catch it.
Let me just finish my
Go
thought.
ahead.
If us three did something, if anybody comes up, we're already late to the Apple would have to do advertisement on their EV. The most valuable brand in the
Well,
world
it's Apple.
would have to throw advertisement. Right?
Check out our car.
Yeah, it's with the
Yeah, I like the
silhouette,
yellow
but the
light.
white car. There's something there.
I was just watching. It's funny you bring that up. We were just watching. There was a guy that stole all of the Apple, or I don't know if all of it, but Apple's self-driving code and gave it to a company in China, and he's being investigated by the DOJ. And I was like, Apple must be so mad, not just because of the code, but because now there's like, front page media and the government and the White House commenting on the fact that Apple's working on a car. Like, it's no longer, they can't even pretend to keep it a secret anymore.
Now the government's talking about it.
The government's like, we are not okay with Apple engineers stealing their self-driving car. You can imagine Tim going, oh God, okay.
Well,
they don't like the leaks.
When you look at our products, you want to make sure.
How do you guys? CNBC did a video on it. I was watching, and they were like, "Apple declined to comment," and I was like, "No, shoot!" Like, what do you guys think of this? They'd be like,
"Who's to say?
What car? What? Who's to?" Who's to say? Well, China, I guess. They're getting your code.
The U.S. government.
It's like the worst kept secret. Like, if they unveiled a car at this point, everyone would be like, oh, wow.
I am so shocked. This is.
I remember when the rumors of Project Titan came out in 2014. I was in college. That was almost 10 years ago. Wow.
Remember, I told you about someone worked on the project.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when are we doing that episode, by the way, Randy?
Oh,
I
Q&A.
Randy, I think 3% of Americans have worked on Project Titan at this point.
So at this point,
it's on par.
It has its
Nick
own
has worked on it.
Wikipedia page. It's pretty legit. Okay?
Yeah. Right.
Like, at this point, Apple...
Everyone put their hand on that project at some point.
We somehow
We know
have
Sandy
influence.
Monroe's in there.
I can't talk about that.
Sandy Monroe's in there. There's some things I won't mention, but we talked about.
Yeah.
Everyone worked on the Apple car.
At this point, we all indirectly
Everyone
have
did it
worked
back
on
in the 70s.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Bill Gates is working on it somehow too. He's in there. Him and
yeah, Steve is in there.
For some reason, I didn't go to Bill Gates when you said Bill Gates. I thought of Bill Clinton, which just made it even more funny.
Same thing.
This is gonna be one good project car. Hillary
we are not building an electric vehicle.
Now, Reed, listen to me carefully. We are not building that Project Titan car. Hillary said no. Four presidents have been involved in it, from Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump,
Jim Carter.
Yep. That's why he won't die. Because he needs to see his greatest work come to because Elon Musk won't let him go.
That was all. That was all an offshoot of me mentioning the Aptera webinar. During that webinar, someone asked if Aptera will be able to use all superchargers, and he said probably not all, but Tesla has started opening some with the Magic Dock. But everyone was confused by that because they're like, well, Aptera wouldn't need the Magic Dock; it has NACS. So Steve from Aptera Owners Club was like, I think the reason they don't have a solid answer for how is supercharging with the Aptera going to work? Like, do you have to go to the select ones that are already open? Or will it be like you can connect your Aptera with your Tesla account, so you just plug in and starts charging just like a Tesla would? And I think that's up to Tesla at this point. Like, I don't think Tesla has laid out clear guidelines.
Was.
Maybe because it always was.
It always was up to Tesla.
It's always been up to them, but maybe it's because Aptera's not in production yet that they feel like they don't need to disclose how it's supposed to work. But that would have been my question, because they did name drop Aptera at the Tesla shareholder meeting, but the guy who brought it up completely botched the question. I thought this event was like my worst nightmare, to be honest with you guys. Like
the stock would disagree with you.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I kind of forget that I'm a shareholder half the time. I'm looking at my Apple Card savings more than I am my investment portfolio.
Oh my.
But like I forget how he phrased it, like I don't know if you've kept up with companies like Aptera, but what are your thoughts on efficiency and that kind of stuff? And I was like,
I think he wanted to ask him, like, are you focusing on something with that much range or that tech in it, like a solar panel or whatever, somewhere along the borders of those lines. And it was, like you said, framed terribly, and it just made Elon short circuit and say, well, you can have an idea, but it's about execution and actually making products. And it's just like, hold on, this is the one company that's adopting your charging standard. Let's not bring out the pitchforks against this really cool idea of an EV. Let's instead...
And he said he had never heard of them, despite literally replying to them last year. When they started the whole...
He's never heard of them. I think he said that he's not too familiar with them, which is hilarious.
What do you think about companies like Aptera and all them being efficient? Who?
I know, it was phrased poorly. I mean, obviously Elon, who's been at Twitter for the past 1,100 months, you know, he's not going to be up to date with all the EV startup world. Anytime he looks at... I mean, he didn't even know what SAS was when they asked him about margins and stuff.
SAS can mean many different things. I mean, to be fair, he also has said in the past, I think at at SpaceX meetings or wherever, he's like, oh goodness, what's the name for it? Basically, words brought into smaller words, like SAS. Acronym, thank you. Don't know why my brain's
I call them A's.
Okay. Well, anyways, he's not a fan of acronyms, so just saying SAS to him probably confuses him a bit, because already he's thinking, like, stabilizing.
Well, in the context of the question about margin, it made sense to me, but Okay. And then he didn't know about, like, the insurance. I just don't think he's super involved with the day-to-day operations anymore. I think all of his focus is on Robotaxi, Bot, AGI, because that was his answer when they were like, are you leaving Tesla? And he said, no, I need to oversee the creation of artificial general intelligence. And I was like, so that's why you're here. But I still feel like, obviously, anytime someone brings up Rivian or Lucid to him, he always just goes, oh, losing so much money, bankrupt. They're gonna die. They won't.
They even put it on their
so much money. I've seen a lot of money lost, people, believe me.
Well, they put it on their shareholder deck, Randy. I don't know if you watched it, but it was literally on their shareholder deck. They pooed right on them. They compared all of these other companies that are making EVs to them, and they put Lucid and Rivian on the end with, like, negative margin, not even making, like, any earnings at all.
It was like negative 200% margin or something.
Something like that. They had to slash through the line because they're like, they're not even making any money, while the other ones were like, nope, but still, like, had some measure on their weird vertical scale that...
They were on the bottom of profitable, but they're all still here. Somehow, I don't know how Canoe's still alive.
Somehow they survived.
Walmart.
Somehow Aptera returned. Yeah. I don't really... I don't expect him to keep up to date with all that stuff, but the way I would have phrased it was putting them in a more positive light instead of just, have you heard of it? I'm like, guy, come on. Just ask, like, how will NACS adoption work for vehicles that adopt it? Because obviously very few people have adopted it, so I think more clearance on... The truth is, even if I got up there and phrased my question perfectly without calling him daddy or anything... he still probably wouldn't have...
You missed that, Randy, too.
...answered it.
You heard that right, but you missed that. The first question was from a guy that called him daddy. Or
I was
hi,
like,
Dad.
You're not just coming past that. Like, you didn't just say that. Oh, my God, daddy. When is the NACS system thing gonna with the Aptera? Thank you.
What did that guy ask? He said... Didn't he say, hi, Daddy, does Optimus want to go to Mars or something?
What the...
I don't know. There were so many questions at the shareholder meeting, like most other earnings calls or other meetings. They're just like...
He's become the mascot.
Well, like, was it the third question was like, Elon, I just wanted to ask, how are you? like, how are you feeling? How are you doing? I saw you at the club the other day. How are you? I'm like, what is this? Like, again, like I said before.
When you look at it, what do you mean by how and are? And when you look at what do you mean by you?
Yeah, he was talking about video footage of Elon dancing in a club from a couple nights ago. Like, why does this need to be brought up at the Tesla shareholder meeting?
Like I mentioned before, these are
how's
Elon
your divorce
fans,
going,
not
Elon?
Tesla fans. Oh, it's your divorce.
That's what they're asking. I saw you bumping uglies the other day at the club. How you doing? Care to comment? Daddy?
Yeah.
All this just... It makes me worried about the Cybertruck, besides the cool new looking prototype that we got to see before the shareholder meeting from all the people that are posting pictures of it on Twitter. That gave me some reassurance of like, oh, okay, they're actually thinking about stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not worried at all. I've never been more bullish on Cybertruck now. Like, it seems like they're popping up all over the place. The best part of the shareholder meeting was the background of that Tesla bot video, which I'm sure some engineers maybe Mike finds that interesting, but I've been so unimpressed with every little bit of bot progress. Like, every time they show it, it looks like it's about to fall over.
What about it? Damn it! I screwed up the joke.
Yeah, you really Aptera shareholder meeting style botched that delivery. But
what?
There's a background of all the bots walking there's 3 Cybertrucks in a room together. And I've never seen that many like completed, legal ready. They got the wipers, they got the mirrors.
We don't know. They're probably just prototypes, but they are what appears to be in that video fully built to whatever.
These bots look like they're part of the Backstreet Boys doing "It's Tearing Up My Heart." Why? That's in sync, but they look like they're about to do synchronized dancing over here. 'Cause I want it. This looks choreographed.
That would have been cool. I would have liked that, but that's not what they did. They showed them
that's
slowly...
a Boston Dynamics thing in which they don't work, apparently. They're like, oh, bots
Boston
dancing.
Dynamics is bad because
robot walking slowly.
Stupid.
I think that's what they said. Or
no, that's what. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Everyone in the Tesla community is like, the bot's meant to be $10,000. Boston Dynamics is $2 million, and it doesn't have hands. It's not that useful. And I'm like, okay, but
$2 million.
The bot's probably not gonna do anything for like 50 years while we're waiting for Let's talk about yesterday, as Randy likes to say. I don't want to talk about tomorrow. I don't want to talk about today. Can we talk about Roadster? And they bring it up today. It's like, maybe next year we'll have that figured out.
I'm so wise. I forgot that was mine. I said that. Yeah, it's like, I don't want to talk about tomorrow. Let's talk about yesterday. What happened
There's
yesterday?
a bunch of things you promised years ago that we still haven't got, and yet we're still making promises today. We're
so wise.
It's bull chow.
It is bull chow.
There's Cybertrucks all over the place now. They're all over Texas. We're seeing them in Fremont still. They had them on display, and there's not like wires hanging out.
They won't stop producing more of them. They're just flooding.
Which means there's some form of exoskeleton machine somewhere. I don't know where, but I think that's going to be the most... Oh, that explains a lot. I'm so excited for Cybertruck to just dominate the news cycle for a while, because that would get all of our minds off of all this complaining we do. Because we complain about Tesla stuff a lot, but I'm still very much a fan of the real stuff. Like the stuff you can buy, sit in, drive around, and the price cuts are great. The supercharging network's great. Yes, the things that exist today, I love about Tesla. I love the charging network. I love the referral program.
I love the app.
I love the cars. I love the app. Best app on my phone, no question. And
I love it so much I have
Tesla
2 widgets on my homepage with them.
Yeah, one for each car.
Really?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah, that way you can check up on them easier. But I feel like we probably criticize Tesla these days more than we praise them. But I do think that the real stuff. This is why I love Drew Baglino so much, because he handles all of the tangible, real, like battery production, powertrain production, factory line stuff. I feel like he's overseeing all the stuff that is interesting to me, and Elon is in charge of all the stuff that I don't believe in.
Wow.
So that's
See,
why
that's why I love watching Drew
excited.
Erickson, because he covers things. he covers things that are real. And,
Thank you.
And not speculative at all.
Yeah, you know.
Well, I'm not trying to convince people to buy, $15,000.
No, you're just convincing people to use your referral code to buy $40,000 to $50,000.
That's what y'all missed in last week's episode. We were out here shilling like a bunch of stuff. You would have thought that we got the.
I will not put my referral code in the podcast description. You two, I'll put your codes, but not mine.
Or
how about
that? A coin, Randy, for who gets their name first? Or shall I be the gentleman and let you go first?
Well, age before beauty. Oh God, I'm age. Oh God.
Yeah. That's why I'm laughing.
I was today 8 years old when I realized I was old. Oh. Well.
So I guess we didn't get to vocalize this because last week's episode is now a lost episode, like the Blazer Effect episode. What do you guys think of this new, I guess revamp of the referral program where vehicles can now be, I guess you get points for someone using your referral code to buy a car. Do you think it's better? Do you think there still needs to be some tuning? Do you think it's crap and we need to just get rid of it again? What do you think?
How about you, Randy?
I say it's a step in the right direction, but I personally would like all of you to use my referral code. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I would rather, if we're revisiting referrals, I mean, this is like I'm disappointed. If we're revisiting referrals, I would rather they honor like the people who had like Roadster reservations, and like if you're gonna go back to like, oh, now it's a point system. It's like we got people waiting that did like the groundwork for these Roadsters and stuff like that. And part of me is because I just want the Roadster to be done and out there with. It's not a car I'm interested in seeing in person. Well, no, that's not true. I would see it in person. I'm not interested in like trying to drive it or what. Like I'm not that demographic. But I want it to be done because the whole like let's talk about yesterday. I just want them to get clear their inbox, and it's cool that like, hey, look, we revamped it. We revamped our Tesla scoring system. I revamped this. Cool, but like, fix autopilot, fix parking, get the Roadster stuff situated. People, my biggest complaint with Tesla is that, like, big picture here, people leased a Model 3, bought FSD, and never got it. And that just doesn't sit right with me. And everything that's, like, akin to that, like, fix that. And then once we fix that PR... Yo, like, you get a Cybertruck, you get, like, whatever. Do what you gotta do at that point. But I feel bad for these other... And, like, the thing is, like, me personally, like, I stand to benefit the most from this new revamped one. So I'm not saying it from a place of, like, I'm not losing anything by them not ever addressing it. It kind of weighs on... I feel bad. I don't feel guilty. I just, like, feel like, not your highest moments there, Tesla Inc. I would rather they kind of address some of the elephants in the room. But all things considering, to answer the overall question, I'm really glad that there is points to be redeemed, because maybe some people just aren't that interested in supercharging miles, which I don't know why, because I think that those right. Well, but some people, like, I just want free merch or whatever, because maybe they don't have a car, but I still want the merch. maybe they're like, I'm actually kind of in the market and I'm anti-Drew and I do believe in solar and I want to put it on my house and they'll do all that. Then they can they can redeem the points for that. Like
I'm not anti-solar.
No,
for
I
the
know. I'm just
record.
teasing you. But my point is, I like that there's options because
Yes.
maybe I would want to be like, well, my lifestyle's a little bit different. I don't really see myself taking road trips. Maybe I will take some merch. Why not? You like that? It's cool that like, hey, in-store credit. The banks do it. Chase Bank, American Express, like they all do it. They have in-house points, and that's valuable. If you can redeem a 1-for-1, or if they even take a step further, like, oh, if you do this, it's like worth 1.5 or what? Like that's kind of cool. But I just don't. The there's like a little part that we need to kind of fix over here first, and then I'm like all, guns blazing about the new referral program.
That's fair. Yeah. I don't think it's like one or the other because I agree with those issues and I also wish they would double down on their software promises or at least tinker the way they market them. I don't honestly think it's possible with Elon at the company. He probably won't go for it, but I would love it if they just kind of pitched FSD beta more so as a autopilot plus type thing, just like a driver assist, not a robotaxi next year type thing, because that hasn't gone anywhere. You've been doing this for years and it's becoming a meme and it's lost all of its effect now, I feel like. So I agree that those are issues that they should address, but I don't think that necessarily should delay or prevent the debut of a credit system. I think makes a lot more sense, especially for content creators or influencers. Sorry if I'm dragging it towards myself, but I just think that there's a lot of people in that camp and they racked up so many referrals that they had more supercharging miles than they could ever possibly redeem. It was basically useless. Some people had tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of supercharging miles. It was like, I'm never going to be able to redeem all that. So letting the credits go towards something else, merch or software, as I said, I'm confused why you can't get premium connectivity through the credit system. I thought that would have been a real obvious one, but you can get $15,000 full self-driving through credits, but you can't get $10 a month premium connectivity. It's kind of weird, but it, in my opinion, is the right way to go about incentivizing word of mouth, which I find far more valuable than advertising, is like motivate people to like push their positive experience. They want to talk about what they like about the car. They want to share, even people that aren't in the tech space. Like you don't have to be a Tesla YouTuber or a tech YouTuber. You could just be a vlogging family channel or whatever you are, or a cooking channel. But because you have an audience, you see, oh, Tesla has a referral program, which means I could get some free road trips or some free merch or whatever. If that brand has a referral system and you have an audience, you're more inclined to buy from that brand and talk about your experience with it, even if it's outside of the tech space. And if people see that you're happy with it and you're enjoying the product, then to me it's a little bit biased, but it's not as biased as just straight up advertising, because then it's just the brand themselves paying money for ad space. Please buy our stuff. But if it's a reviewer or
One
a
feels
personality,
a little bit more desperate.
One's more desperate. I assume you mean the advertising, but
yes, Drew,
but,
of course. Because that episode will never make it to air. They'll never hear how badly you were out there.
I was very excited. I was. But the creators, like, if you're pushing for credits and you're not pushing for, like, just straight cash, then it means you love the product, so you want more from that service or product. It's not like I'm pushing Tesla sales so that I can make commission, but no, I'm pushing Tesla sales so that I can have lower cost of ownership of the product I own. I want to continue enjoying this. I want to exceed my like cost of ownership or decrease what it costs to own this vehicle, or I want to put more into it, whether it be a roof rack, or I want to represent the brand more with the merch, whatever. It's creating a tighter bond between the brand and the customer, which I prefer, rather than creating a better bond between the brand and the media and the advertisers. So, like, I kind of appreciate that and respect that. And yes, it's probably because I have something to benefit from it, but I don't think it's inherently immoral. I would argue
that's what
far
an
more
immoral
ethical.
person would say.
That's true. You're so right. I'm not trying to deny my bias by any means. That has never gotten me anywhere in my career. So I'm not going to start now. But I think it's great. I like that if you wait to redeem your credits, you can get a better value on the supercharging miles. Like the 2,000 miles is a better deal than the 500.
Yeah.
And I like, did you guys catch, I don't know if we talked about this, because basically while we were recording the Lost episode, the referral program dropped, so we were kind of all discovering it. It's probably a good thing we scrapped that episode. It was like scatterbrained. We didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand.
There was a lot of F-bombs. And I appreciated you rated for the little until after I dropped it. Bravo, sir, bravo. I appreciate that. But,
Thank you.
Anyway.
Thank you. But yeah, like, basically the person referring gets more credits than the person buying. And if you already are a customer, they've basically built in a way for you to use your own code, in which you get a lot of credits through loyalty. So you can give yourself credits by buying more Teslas in the future, I guess, which is kind of
So
neat.
I should have waited to buy my Model Y.
Hindsight, always 2020. Everyone's.
Hey, how do you feel about me selling my
2023.
Model 3?
What? Have you come to that conclusion already? It's only been like a month.
Nah, well. So.
We always bring this up and you get offended, but now you're bringing it up.
I'm offended.
Which means that. Which means something's living rent free in my head, and I don't know what it. I haven't come to terms with it yet. I feel like I'm struggling with my identity. Oh my god. So I don't want to sell it. Like, not like right now. I'm not like, oh, take it, but thank you, Mike. But
Compass.
I don't know.
Is it feeling redundant?
If we look at side by side, yes, but in my household, no. I don't want to lose an EV and just go back to one EV, one, Yaris. No, not that. Ill. I just realized I said ill a little too loud. I was like, don't want to get hit. But
shoe flies through window.
What if I use that money for, I don't know,
Tesla stock.
No, I'm stop feeding my addiction. Now I'm getting a little burnout on Tesla stock, to be honest. It's like if we're playing a game, I already won. Like I realized that at the lowest market parts of Tesla, whatever, I will always be net positive. I'm one of those now, so I don't really care. What if I use that money for? Not Rivian. I know you think I'm going to say Rivian. I'm not saying Rivian. Like, what if I just?
Oh, I was going to say Aptera.
Ooh. What if I just, like, for the cost of doing business, and I just kind of like allocate that money to long term, a couple years, not a lease, because I would try to sell it every time and recoup some money.
Randy, are you alluding to the fact that the M chip Mac Pro is coming out soon, so you're just going to funnel all that money from the Model 3 into that?
I wouldn't have enough.
Oh, jeez.
I still wouldn't have enough. But we'll talk about that in 15 minutes. No, I don't know. Like, a part of me just, I feel irresponsible, if I'm being honest. There's a part of me that feel like,
Okay.
I spent almost 6 figures on 2 Teslas, and whether I can afford it or not, it feels kind of irresponsible.
He went.
I would say, what's the rush on
To
getting rid of Phoenix?
Depreciation.
Okay.
But I don't.
Well, remember this though, like, because I've battled with that same mindset. There's some family stuff that went on off the record that once I got a more complete picture, I was like, this was probably not what I should have done.
I hear you.
But I didn't know what I didn't know, right?
Right,
You know,
yeah.
it's always easy after the fact. At the time we placed our order, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Given what we were aware of. Now knowing what we know, I probably wouldn't have done that. But you can always play life that way,
Sure.
and I don't think it's productive. And what I recognized was like, you could make just as irresponsible a financial decision by selling it, potentially. Because once you sell it, now you just had the memories with it, you had the time with it, and you're officially cutting your lot. It's like owning a stock that's in the red.
Right.
You haven't technically lost money until you sell.
Right.
So I would say you paid what you paid, your agreed upon price, and you got what you got. But if you sell it, or you get in the mindset of selling it at too low a price because it's been on the market for a while and I just want to be done with it, that's when a second irresponsible financial decision could be made.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I guess to add on to that, 2 things. Yeah, it's probably smart, probably not to sell it now because right now the used Tesla market is like hot.
pretty low.
Yeah, it's pretty low. Hot being like you can get a really good price on a Tesla.
Great for the buyers.
Yeah,
Yes.
great for buyers, not for sellers. So if you're thinking
I've heard
about
this
selling
before.
it now, yeah, right. I mean, I don't know why I'm giving you financial advice, but 2,
Yeah,
as
we're
someone,
friends talking right now. You're talking sense to me.
but jumping on that bandwagon that Drew is bringing up, I am one who got rid of his Volvo 940 wagon that had its issues. And I got rid of it thinking, I don't need this anymore. It doesn't make sense to have it. And then
You were right.
it got crushed after I sold it, and I can never get that car back ever again.
Dude,
It'll
I
never
feel
come
that.
back.
Yeah.
So the fact that I can, I mean, I could find one out in the wild. You could find one that's like yours out in the wild, black,
Yeah.
that is wrapped in that army green. But it's not the same car that you had those memories in. Yeah, that's kind of like the sentimental, emotional feeling about it. But I think that does play a factor.
It does. Like I was
So-
talking about the stock. Like some things, if you try to just base it off of logic, like Rivian, it doesn't paint the full picture. Same thing with Tesla. The emotions are tied to it, and you're right. I have my version with a Volvo and Scion. I had my baby of a car was a Scion TC that I have, and I loved that car. So I get that concept too. My thing is that like, you know, what Drew's saying in the whole like, you can try doing anything in any aspect of your life, looking back, be like, oh, I could have done that different, or I could have done that better, I could have done this less, whatever.
I could do that in 10 seconds with any stock.
Any stock, right?
Should have bought there, sold there. Yeah, it's very easy to do that.
Yeah, it's like, now that I'm a dad, and I just think about the future, I think about the longevity of my family, that's post to me, and it's such a weird headspace to be in. Like, I've been thinking about mortality a lot this past week, just in general. Like,
Oh,
what am I?
cool. My favorite subject.
What am I leaving
Existential dread.
behind? What?
I'm thinking about selling my Model 3. Why is that? I've been thinking about mortality. Oh.
It's like, wait, I think those are one of the signs. Do you need to talk? Are you okay? He's giving away things. We need to talk. Nah, it's just like,
It's okay, Randy. The software update will come next week. You'll be all right.
I'm sure some part of CarPlay will come eventually. Yeah, no. No, it's not that. Look, I guess besides feeling like irresponsible in a sense, even though it's past tense expenses, and that was Randy wasn't even married when he bought that car. Like, again, context is like
Wow.
I was a different man, but
Yeah.
I was still a very much, legal consenting adult going through with a purchase at the time when I was making, Model Y Mike money. But the point I'm at is that now it's like, what if I sold
Magic
that
Mike.
and I put that money towards like my next house? Like, I've been thinking about.
There you go.
I've been thinking honestly.
I like that idea.
So okay, I've been thinking about roots, right? Like, what foundation can I set when I'm gone or when I'm on my way out that I can roll over to Sage and his family one day? What long, like, I will never ever, one thing that I don't regret, and I will never sell my San Diego property. That's just the way the cards fell, and I went with it. So
I wouldn't either.
that is my tie home. But that is an investment property now, from a tax standpoint, because it's passive income. I now think about like, where do I want to plant these roots and have that establishment? And I'm like, geez, I could pay off the Model Y right now.
Yeah.
And just independent from, because it's not paid off. We did do a loan, and I'm like, this is silly. I don't. We talk about Headspace. Like, if I'd known certain things I know now, I've been like, let's just pay it. But anyway. I could pay off the Y right now, and sell the 3, back to being 0 in debt total, and put whatever I recoup from the 3 into a property. When I sell this house, whatever equity that's in there into the property, and I like big pictures. Like, I'm a different version of Nick. Do I even need an EV? But the difference between me and Nick is I absolutely do. I really do. Yeah, no. Yeah, I do.
Nick does too.
Randy, don't tell me you're going to live in your car next.
Hey, the Model Y, what you failed to tell me, Mike, is the Y is very comfortable. I mean, sheesh.
Wonderful.
It is very comfortable. Yeah, so
I just said that.
My headspace is just like, if I sell the car, it's not because I'm going to put it in towards another EV, because I'm taking a loss. I'm making bad choices multiple times, like you were saying, Drew. But now I'm just thinking about, like, how can I, like, really, like, build proper, like, what's it called, like, generational equity, or like that legacy, that empire thing. My headspace has been there, and these are just toys at the end of the day. These are more expensive tech products in my eyes, and Brittany looks at the car like an automobile, and she's a grease monkey because her dad is an engineer. He does welding, and he does all these things with cars. He's always worked on cars his whole life. So Brittany's background from cars is as a grease monkey. Mine is from where I cross paths. Like, I'm all about the tech. I'm like, this is so cool. But at the end of the day, it's still tech, and tech is a toy to me. And I just like, do I need this tech? Can I downsize my iPhone and get an ugly Pixel? Drew?
No. No. But for the sake of combating depreciation, I'll acknowledge that at least with the Tesla, it's less. I mean, yes, it's a toy in many ways, as it is technology. I acknowledge that, but you have the ethical argument, the moral argument of safety.
Yep.
For your family, more so than a traditional gas vehicle would offer. Better for the environment, better for air quality. It's more than just, I wanted a new phone. That's doesn't really help for safety or the world or anything. This supporting something, I think. That's a bit more toyish in my opinion than a vehicle which you're using, and I believe is saving you money on gas. So long term, as long as you keep it, it's a cost saving measure.
Yeah.
So give yourself a little credit. It's a little more responsible, I think, than you might be making it out to be. But I would just say, if you are feeling more like of that redundancy, which I predicted, for the record, I was saying these cars are very similar.
But in the life, our lifestyle, it's really not. Because they're so aged apart as well. I will do a proper, synopsis on the two different time. But
Sure.
In the stance of that, like we have three. I say similar in the sense that I have 3 vehicles, and there's only 2 people, and one stays home all the time.
Yeah.
That's sure.
No, I
the
agree. That would
interface might
bother
be
me
the
too.
same, but those cars,
Yeah.
that's where the similarities end. And then I'm like, these are 2 very different beasts, and I like driving the Y a heck of a lot more.
Yeah. No, I expect you
4-1
to.
for the Club of Y.
Yeah. I get it.
Team Midnight Silver is in the lead.
I get
But
it.
I would just say if you do consider it more and more, because I like that idea personally. Like I don't I work from home, so I don't see the need for multiple vehicles. My wife was driving to a little odd job today. She took the Tesla, and I'm like, okay, I don't need it right now. And you can learn to get by with just the one, or in your case, just the 2 or whatever. But be in the process of selling it, I would just say be strategic.
Yeah.
Like have a price in mind that you're like, okay, obviously I don't think you're gonna flip it at a profit per se.
Oh yeah, no, that
But
80,000's off the table. We're way past that.
yeah, I don't think that's any more
I want
possibility.
90
But
now because of inflation.
I think you should have a price in mind that you're like, I won't go below this.
Yeah.
Because it has the full self-driving, which a lot of potential buyers aren't going to care about. But you got to find some of the bull chows out there that are convinced. Doesn't have to be you, keep in mind, or me. All that matters is that someone out there who I've talked to in the past is convinced that any vehicle with full self-driving is going to be worth mountains more because one day it will be a robotaxi. Okay, if he values that feature that much, that might just take some time to find the right buyer, you know?
Yeah.
So if you're in a rush to sell it, you'll probably compromise and work your way down because you're like, I just want to get it over with. But if you have a price in mind that you're like, okay, I'm comfortable selling it for that amount, and I know it might not sell fast, but you gotta wait because not everybody's in the market at all times.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes people are saving up, they're working towards it. It took us basically like 3 years of discussion
You had a
before
whole
we actually pulled the
additional
trigger.
year where I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, are you just dragging me along?
Yeah. We were making all kinds of plans and rearranging
Yeah.
finances, and you know, you got to remember that it's not like advertising. It's all comes back to. It's not like Netflix.
Oh,
it's not like
we found
Pepsi.
it.
It's not like, oh wow, that's a good price. Hi honey, I found a Model 3 that's good. Oh really? What's that? Oh, that's an electric. Yeah, let's buy that. That's not how people buy cars. It's a real long-term discussion that involves a lot of capital allocation and financial decisions. So I think it might be on the market for a long time
Yeah.
at that price. But my hope is that I think your best bet, aside from the wrap, which is cool and unique, your best bet in not experiencing too much depreciation would be the FSD package.
Yeah.
Even though you and I don't really believe in that, or we don't really care what happens with it. But if someone else does, that's to your gain, because if you're willing to wait and not sell it right away and just say, nope, that's my price, and people might lowball you, and you say, nope, I'm in no rush to sell, I'll wait until someone who is willing to pay that much, then with that amount of waiting, maybe full self-driving will be 18 grand or 20 grand by the time
I'm
you find
sure
the right
we're
buyer.
gonna
And
get
then
there
someone
because
will be
Elon
like,
will
whoa.
artificially inflate it again and again. Which okay, fine. And I'm not in a hurry. There's no. It's just my headspace has been more like, I look at the car and to Mike's point, like, man, do I love my car though. Like even though it's not the Y, I'm like, you always remember like that was my car. I worked my butt off very proudly to save up and do the route that I went and getting that car at that time at that price and everything. I wouldn't change a thing except for FSD, but buying the car itself, I don't regret it, and I do cherish those memories and that time frame. That pre-COVID life, I was on a whole different trajectory, and part of it like always kind of goes back to that because COVID happened, changed our whole lives, moved cross country. I'm not anything remotely the person I thought I was going to be. In some retrospects, I'm like a good way. In other ways, it's like it's just different. Like that's not the path I had chosen, and I didn't get to choose it. And that's like, well, now I got a kid, and I don't know. But I'm not in a hurry to sell. It's not like I'm hurting for cash. It's just that like I I do always want to have a Tesla, and the Model Y can very much be that car. I had a situation, man.
Yeah.
I stuffed it to the brim with the hatchback, and I had just enough to make it fit where I knew I would be. It would not. I something had to compromise for the three, and at that point, I was like, wow. I'm never going to take my three on another road trip again if it's a family trip. And that was a weird feeling. I was like, you've been with me like my Model 3 is a very cultured vehicle. It has seen both coasts, And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is you got some history in you there, buddy. Phoenix has done me well. But that's all sentimental. It's like
You can't hold on to that too hard, in my opinion.
I
Like
got new memories to make.
yeah, I understand that emotion and I can relate to it, but it's just like you would say about the stock market.
Yeah.
Like you can't buy and sell emotionally.
Sure.
You have to, if you're looking at it as investment or, should I cut my losses with it or what have you. There's those memories, and it's important to remember those memories are still there.
Yeah.
You still had those memories. You still took those pictures. You still experienced those things. You can't take that away. But I think a lot of people might make irresponsible decisions or hold on to things longer than they should simply because, well, I had memories with it. It's like, to a point,
Yeah.
I think it can get
I just need
dangerous. But
I just need the Biden administration to cut one more $1,000 check to everybody, and then people are going. I'm buying a Tesla, and that's my opportunity.
that's it.
That's when I go.
Or
on
we'll get
there.
a price cut, maybe.
One thing you could also consider, Randy, is sell it to a friend or family. So that way, it's not gone forever, per se. You can always just visit whoever you sold it to, friend or family,
Yeah.
and still see that
Become
car.
friends with the buyer.
That too, I
If
guess.
they're a stranger.
But if you're willing to either sacrifice a little bit on price for family or friends, you can give them that discount or whatever. You can still see the car and still hold on to like those emotions that you have to the car,
Yeah.
and know that it's going to someone that needs it. It's also coincidentally someone that you know and love.
I unfortunately I feel
that's
like I have
assuming-
more people in Drew's camp who like to crap on it than who would be interested in buying. I was like, man, you guys lack vision. But it's a good idea
Not
though,
that
Mike.
car.
I would love to, like, best case scenario, it stays in the family and I would take a discount at that point, because what I'm really asking for at that point is a friend or family to help fund my next big investment, which is where probably
Yeah,
100% of that
really.
money would go to. So it's a different conversation I would be having with, like, the only person I think I would come close to that would have that conversation with is my mom. But
Mhm.
I don't know if lightning strikes twice. I got her on the iPhone thing. I don't know if I can get her on the Tesla thing.
Oh, I got mine, but it's just not the right time yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long-term decision. I understand that completely.
So you can always just hold on to it and all that. I mean, another thing that you can consider is maybe you have a lot of those people that do think that Tesla's silly, but butts and seats sell.
That's
So you
true.
can always just, if you're looking to get into someone's hands soon, and also coincidentally you value the idea of getting it to someone that you know and love and care, get their butt in the seat. Take them for a spin around the block, and maybe they'll reconsider, be like, huh. And it might not be immediate. It could just be later, like a couple weeks later, a couple months later. They're like, you know what? Fine, you win. Give me the car.
Yeah.
Something like that. So who knows? But I would say I think there is an outcome where you get to win if you're considering winning the car not going away forever. But I would say there's no loss in looking in those departments and or just keeping it. You can also consider that's something that we considered with the Volvo before we had it sold
Right.
and crushed.
Yeah.
On it, well, we didn't have it crushed. Someone else did. Is that you can keep that car around for Sage or someone else. It could be that type of investment where the car will last that long.
Yeah.
We know that for sure, that at least it's probably going to last another 10 years. What's another 5 years after that?
Yeah.
Could be just the right time. So who knows? So it could be that investment that you're already thinking of with the house or funds towards your future family endeavors.
Mm-hmm.
Where this could just be that investment sitting right there. You just have to take care of it for the next 15 years, which sounds kind of crazy. But it could be that investment that pays off in the end of, like, it's a safe car. It's one of the safest cars on the planet, and you don't have to buy it because you already own it.
Yeah.
But
I've
I've
made peace with it that I probably will keep it, and I have no issues with that. Best case scenario, I can sell it to my mom, and at some point down the road, she gives it to Sage. I'm like, perfect. It generational family. It started with me, went up a gen, and then it went down two gens.
I'll tell you a quick little story. That's what happened with my buddy. His first car was this manual shifting Toyota, and it was originally his older sister's. Actually, I think before that it was his dad's, and then he sold it to someone, and then they bought it back for their daughter, and she drove it around for a bit. Then she sold it to someone else, and then my buddy bought it back. So it could be something like that where it just gets passed back and forth either between the family or acquaintances or anything else like that. So it could be that case too. I think the sky's the limit on Phoenix. There's always room to fly with that car, in my opinion. I don't think right now is its swan song. I think it's got many more years of utility for you or anyone else.
Yeah. However, if somebody comes in with the right price, though, what Drew was saying with the lower, like, don't go any lower than this. If I get offered that price, to the victor goes the spoils at that point. Sorry, son, you'll get mom's car at some point. We'll figure it out.
But, yeah, really.
Oh no, right. Not the Yaris.
I was talking
There's
about
also Turo. I don't know if you've heard of Turo, Randy.
Oh,
but... I had to mention it at least once.
Oh, right. I'm in a bad mood now.
Thanks, Drew.
Yeah. You're welcome.
It's as anything sour as a Nicola Badger in my mouth.
That's good. It won't exist then. Any last thoughts before we come to a close?
I am totally ready for this robot apocalypse to happen, and I'll definitely buy 12.
Awesome.
Because I'm so rich, according to Randy.
Bye. Ha ha ha.